It is time for a special little Christmas story that began in a small town on the banks of the Ohio River. This town was bustling with industry fueled by the solid work ethic of Irish and Italian immigrants who took the risk of crossing the vast Atlantic in hopes of starting new lives. One such brave young man made his way through the echoing halls of Ellis Island in 1910. He worked hard, married, and had 2 sons that could not have known that they would grow up without him. Our story follows one of those boys. He was known as Billy back then, a 10-year-old faced with stepping into his father's shoes, with growing up faster than a young boy should have. In spite of the circumstances, Billy stood up to the challenge and grew into a mature young man. Bill became class president at Bel Air High School. He fell in love with the most beautiful girl he ever set his eyes and heart on. He graduated from Ohio State University with his hard-earned pharmacy degree, and he married the girl of his dreams, Dolores Vanelli. As Bill and Dolores committed their hearts to each other, they joined hands and stepped forward together on a journey full of unknowns ahead. In 1959, they took on the challenge of starting a business. Mr. Duvall loaned the young couple $300 to fill the register so they could open the doors as the new owners. Little did they know that they would be building a legacy in their hometown, a legacy that resonates with so many today, 61 years after that humble beginning. How do we know this? Alan put a photograph on social media in April of 2018, a simple photograph of tincture of arnica with a Duvall's Pharmacy label. That unassuming image started a public outpouring of shared memories of a store that represented kindness, joy, healing, and family. Nearly 100 comments followed. Here is a sampling.
Here are some of those memories of Duvall's. I miss your dad's store. Wish it was still up on the corner. I talk to your dad about once a year. He lets our church, Trinity Episcopal, on the 43rd Street corner use his lot across the street when we have vacation Bible school each summer. We have a nice long talk. Joyce Voigt. Duvall's had great ice balls and comics. Mark Mountain.
And anybody who calls them snow cones should be thrown off this site for profanity. They are not real Bel Air people. Jim Tarbett. I loved your dad's store too, from snow cones and yo-yos to diapers and prescriptions. Great family. Bill Dodds.
Loved the soda fountain. My first vanilla Coke was there. Steve Verba. Your dad was a class act all the way around. He opened up and got us our medicine when our kids were sick, even on holidays. Dave Spurk. I loved your dad's store. Always when I was young, I would take my little niece Lorraine Strushin up there when she visited and buy her things many years ago. Albert DeBlaze.
As kids, we hung out on the steps in the evening. There was a phone booth on the side of the store. Bill Dodds. Duvall's. Fond childhood memories. Ice balls were huge. Growing up on Gravel Hill were the best times. Becky Porter. How I miss that place. Go by it every single day and think of the times we had enjoyed buying things there. Mary Jo Zucchini Kirko.
Great memories in your dad's store. Snow cones. Still have my first Barbie book from his store. Shauna Walker. I used to ride my bike up there all the time and buy comic books. Robert Oxley. The shelves of candy behind the soda fountain, but the back room was the treasure trove. I can still picture Miss Alice too. Brenna Vanelli Rocchio.
I loved your dad and Miss Alice. They were wonderful people. I would ride my bike up from Tallman Avenue to get medicine for Dad before he died when I was young. I hung out up there when we went to Grandma and Grandpa's house on 44th Street. I loved the ice balls. One fantastic store with wonderful people working in there. I still went there after I was married to get medicine for my family. My daughters all loved the ice balls too. Great memories. Donna Newhart Herzog.
It was the best ice balls ever. Your dad was one of a kind. He used to have round tuits up on the wall in the pharmacy, and he gave me one. Cecilia Farver. That store was the best, was great for kids. Randy Clark. A wonderful man, truly a gentleman. We were always sick as kids, especially me, and as finances were usually tight, your dad let my parents pay in installments for our many medicines, which was so gracious of him. My parents really appreciated his understanding. Janice Miller. Your dad was a great guy. I looked up to him as a kid. He and my dad were good friends. Stan Delbert.
It was a hangout for my mother, sister, and myself. Sat in the back room and read comic books and drank Coke. Vicki Miller Yunker. In the tea room, Stan Delbert. And Wise Potato Chips, Meta Miller. My late mother, Nell Forbes, thought the world of Bill Lestini, and our family and North Bel Air relatives gave all of our business to Duvall's. Bill came home from his home on New Year's Day and opened up the store to fill some prescriptions. I was a baby with severe ear and chest infection, unheard of today. Bill, Alice, and the other lady, what wonderful people. Gay Elaine Forbes.
I was best friends with Art Sankovich. His mother Elsie and his Aunt Alice worked there. We stopped in after swimming and got a free ice ball. John Hanson. Started as a customer with Ralph Duvall in 1939. Continued with your dad until he closed the St. Clairsville store in about the early 2000s. Bill's a good friend. Shirley Kennedy Mayer. Loved the penny candy, fish, right before going to the Bel Air pool or just about anywhere when you passed by it. It was a place that was hard to resist going into. Kane Kutcher John.
Yes, we were there every day the pool was open. Ice balls, frozen zeros, and comic books. I was sent to buy stamps as we picked up our prescriptions. Many Mother's Day presents were bought there. I always wondered what the tea room was because it contained school supplies. Betsy Giffen. I met the soda fountain girl who became my wife of 48 years and still going. Thanks to Joe, Mike Kennedy.
Nothing like growing up in Bel Air in the 60s and 70s as a kid. Wouldn't change it for the world. Big Red till the end. James Goodson. Penny candy, snow cones, aka ice balls, comics, and the toy room in the back. Loved it. Clarence Biggs.
Hey, I loved Duvall's. From the Pepsi and cherry ice balls, super balls and bubbles, plus those planes. I remember being reminded by Mother that it was Father's Day, and she would give me a couple of bucks, and I would run around the corner and get the most impressive looking bottle of whatever cheap aftershave Dad was using back then. Skin Bracer, I believe. Bill had a good little racket with the neighborhood boys. Those big bundles of newspapers would get dropped off in front of the store, and the first kid who got there to bring them in would get a couple of free big pretzel rods. Back in the day, those were little things that we were grateful for. David Teasdale.
My grandma worked there on and off. Donna Williams. Adam Bainig. Many great memories of Duvall's. Was in there a lot. I remember Bill very well. He knew everyone by name, We used to go in for ice balls and toys in the back, also our meds. As kids, we did all of our birthday shopping in there for our parents and grandparents. Brenda Sellers. Old school candy like Swedish fish that went for penny a pop, the salted pumpkin seeds, the charmed suckers, just to name a few. Good memories. Frequently stopped there an afternoon at the pool. Jason LaRoche.
Oh, I so remember him. He was always a nice man. He would always let me go in the room in the back without supervision, as he knew my mom and knew we would not steal. When I would pick up a prescription or buy something, he always asked if Mom said to charge it. Duvall's and White's always had charge accounts for their customers, which was awesome. Denise Palmer. When I was growing up, we always got our scripts there. We got other stuff too. He was always nice to me. I loved going to his store. Patsy Kautsky.
I have many fond memories of Mr. Lestini and Duvall's pharmacy. In my preteen days, Duvall's was where I did all my birthday and Christmas shopping. There were so many fun things to look at in the back room. Loved going back there. Also loved the ice balls, the best ever. Bill was always so friendly and knew my late mom, Phyllis. He might recognize my maiden name of Yarnovic. There were 5 of us kids, so we used the pharmacy often. Brenda Sellers. My grandmother, Hattie Hayden, used to send me to Duvall's after calling Bill or Miss Alice and telling them what she wanted, then pressing the correct amount of money into my palm and folding my fingers securely over it. She would tell me to go straight to the drugstore and pick up the requested item. She often ordered Sterizol, which became Lanazol before it was finally discontinued. I wonder if Bill remembers that product. Mary Underwood.
I loved Duvall's and Mr. Lestini. I loved to go into the tea room to check out everything. I liked their penny candy, picking it out and putting it in my little brown paper bag. And I loved their chocolate ice balls. I live in Cuyahoga Falls now, but visited Bel Air today. As I drive by Duvall's, I always smile with all the good memories. Myra Barton. My mom sent me too. I would get an ice ball with vanilla syrup on it and a bag of candy plus chips, all for $0.25. That's when chips were 5 cents a bag and penny candy was a penny. Can't go home without $1's worth of hamburger Mom needed from White's grocery store. For a moment, I could visualize myself standing inside Duvall's looking around. Edie Glenn Green.
My brother and 2 sisters were sent to Duvall's for medications and other things. My greatest time was when all were permitted to go behind the counter and pick out our own penny candy. Oh, the ice balls with the many flavors that came in handy after a warm day spent at the pool. Everyone in the store knew our parents, so there were no shenanigans. Yep, I did some Christmas, Easter, and birthday present buying in there too. Whenever I'm home, because I live in Phoenix now, I pass by there and get a tear in my eye. I miss the penny candy and chips. Wanda Henderson.
I was sent all the time, and I was allowed in the back room. I always called him Mr. Bill. He would always let me wait inside if it was raining. I spent every penny I got on candy. It was part of our childhood if you lived in the north end of Bel Air. Kimberly Biggs Bates. I remember going in there for the penny candy and ice balls. Cherry was my favorite flavor. The tea room was awesome, filled with lots of toys. Nancy Reese Fabry.
When I was young, I had a crush on Dolores. She was and still is stunning. I was so jealous of Bill. As I came to know Bill, I realized that he and Dolores were a perfect match, as both were always kind, loving, compassionate people, and friends to everyone who knows them. God bless you both. Joe DiGenova. We love you.